Hey everyone, welcome back to my podcast Suchitra's Life with me, Suchitra. And in this episode, we'll be continuing our conversation with Mr. Abbirooban in part 2. So let's dive in.
Um, I it's just another question of
Mhm.
my personal experience. So, the elders, like let's say my elders or people around me, or from a different generation,
Mm.
they when I try to tell them about mental health or some things like depression, anxiety, all I hear from them, I mean not everyone, I'm not generalizing it, but most of them, and then most of them come up with a statement like, okay, this generation is acting too sensitive.
Mhm.
You guys are just making up stuff from thin air and it's not even there, and you're just making up something. Why don't you just eat good food, soak up some sun, and everything will be back to normal?
Yes.
And it's we're not able to communicate or tell them that okay, this is something beyond just a dietary change or anything could help. This feels like I can't go beyond and do much. So we still keep hearing that you are acting. You
Yes.
are putting up an act. We don't believe you. So how, I mean, does that happen with your patients as well? And do they struggle to even approach a psychologist? Because firstly, there is no support and they don't even know what to do, where to go. Like people, they're telling that there's something wrong. They think you're just acting. So how common is this in our country?
Yes. This is again a very major factor that we mental health professionals are facing as a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just start with an example here in this case.
Mm-hmm.
When I was in MIPMED, there was one kid who was brought to me with complaints that he's not talking to others, he doesn't make eye contact, he just shakes his hands whenever he wants to,
Mm-hmm.
and looks very different from other people.
Mm-hmm.
So after my interaction with the client for and engaging in some assessments and verifying with the parents all these clinical routines that we have, we finally were able to see that the child was with autism features actually.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was discussing with the parents about it, trying to educate them or trying to share the facts of autism with the parents, so that what is to be done, what are the causes, and what are the features that are part of autism, all these aspects. The parents were literally shocked, they were not able to process these things.
Mm-hmm.
Because one reason they told was that, okay, my mom or my in-laws told that my husband and me started speaking at a very late age, and this child was also having a light speech delay. So we thought he would speak to us in another couple of years or so.
Mm-hmm.
But still, out of the care that we have for children, and since others also recommended at school,
Mm-hmm.
we came here and you're saying that my child has a disorder, we definitely can't take that. This is what the parents are expressing about their emotions.
Mm-hmm.
So as you can see here, even though the parents were really concerned about the child's health and the child's functioning in the developmental aspects,
Mm-hmm.
they were depending or counting on the elders' advice that the children will speak later, especially male children will develop speech later than 5 to 7 years of age, is what they had told. And when we were explaining things about what an autism is and what are the features of autism would be like, and why we are saying that okay, this kid might be having features of autism, is that they were not able to accept things in that first place.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, any parent would find it difficult to accept that fact that their child is having some sort of health condition or health issues. Yes, but here this made it worse for them to understand. Second, what we planned was yes, the parents were ready for interventions or what we rather call it as treatment. They were ready for it, and they were ready to bring the child back for the next session wherein we can start working on the various psychological aspects. And we had a team of speech therapists as well who would be trying to work on the speech aspects of the child. But after a week of appointment, the parents didn't turn up. So we had to reach out to the parents okay, the child is already missed out a few years of therapy or intervention, so let us not waste any more time. So when we reached out to them again, they told that the parents of the parents and the in-laws of the couples were not ready to send them for any more therapy, and they were just trying to take them to some sort of the spiritual healing centers, all those aspects, and consult an astrologist for the same. So this is where the challenge starts, especially from people from older generation. So they have been witnessing all these challenges right from their era. So even if you go back to 1930s or early 1900s, people with signs of mental health issues have been all over the world, all over the time period as well. But how they were perceived is what is differentiating. Also, people say that they didn't have stress or depression or schizophrenia or autism back in their days. They definitely had all those issues, but in some other names, it was some spirits had taken over control, or it is because of some other black magic or something like that is what they believe. They just named it different, but these were also prevalent back in those days. And the comparison again with any physical disorders, I would say, is people say that cancer is a very recently growing disorder that is being diagnosed. No, cancer, evidence of cancer, diabetes, everything were available right before Christ period as well, the BC time as well, 2000 years back as well. But still people saw it in a different way, and how we see it is very much different. Again, people bring in the argument that, okay, people back then lived for long years, hundreds of years. But if you take into the account, a family had at least of tens of children, at least 5 to 10 children. And among that number of children, only a few handful of them survived. And most of them either succumbed to any physical health issues or any mental health issues. We don't know about that. So yes, the current generation seems oversensitive, but to be honest, we are just labeling it in a scientific manner than the previous generations. The previous generations used black magic as a diagnostic element. They said that okay, it was because of black magic, or it was because of the astrological status of the individual, the horoscopic aspects of that individual. So we just have to understand that the attributions that we make have changed over the period of time, but not how we deal with things, to be honest.
True. And thank you for telling our listeners about it. And so we've talked about challenges and all of that. So let's come to the interesting part. What are some of the most rewarding aspects of your job?
Okay, so when it comes to psychology especially, so one major rewarding factor is that it always fascinates how our mind can fabricate things, how it can process different things in different ways. It's the same issue that for one people, whereas it might be perceived in other ways by other people. Say, for example, one person has difficulties in making a seminar presentation. So that person might be taking it as a challenge and trying to overcome it. Whereas the other person might be succumbing to the anxiety, and they might be eventually diagnosed with social anxiety. So it's the same challenge, it's the same set of elements that is working around, but how it is taken ahead is what is the key here. So that's really fascinating for me as an expert. That's how I got into psychology. So when it comes to clinical psychology again, how fast people can trust an individual. We do say that okay, people are not trustworthy these days. There are a lot of details going around, all these accusations we do have. But one thing that fascinates me during sessions is that I'm a total stranger. They are a total stranger to me. and it's completely a different environment. It's not even a comfortable environment that to be put across, because it's a hospital setup or it's a clinic and after all. But still, within a few minutes, they're able to trust someone with their darkest secrets or darkest experiences altogether. So that's really very fascinating to me, that okay, how much people can trust each other, how much people are ready to share about their own issues or experience to a complete strangers too. So how much they should have trusted each other, how comfortable they should be able to feel with me, how am I able to bring this to other people. That's really something that is rewarding to me as a professional. And more than that, once they share all those emotions, they feel lighter after the session usually.
Yeah.
So that being able to provide that sort of experience to people coming to you is really a rewarding experience. Yes, of course, the money concept is involved. Yes, it's more like a service that we are providing. It's more of a monetary based service that we are providing. Yes, it is there. We are not doing it for like a pro bono aspect, or we are not providing it for as a like charitable service. Yes, that's not happening. But still, even for that exchange of money, you can see that improvement in the clients that are coming to you, and the way their life changes as well. The impact you can have on someone else's thought patterns, their life habits, all these things are really fascinating. And especially when it's a child that has been brought to you, it's a client. The client is being a child. You're going to touch n number of lives. You're going to change the life of the child. You're going to change the life of the parents over there. And yes, that's really a fascinating element, to be honest. You can just simply change someone's life from hell to heaven. Yes, obviously it is not going to happen within 1 hour or within one session. Sometimes they might even terminate the session, like they stop coming to you. And after like 2 or 3 years, based on whatever changes that has happened during the session, they might be seeing the fruits of that after years. Just like seeds were sown during the sessions, but the fruits are experienced and enjoyed only after a few years as well.
Got it. And like apart from freelancing as therapist, you're also a full-time teacher.
Yes.
So how do you balance these two? I mean, you're shaping up future psychologists and you're on the field as a psychologist. So how do you manage these two?
Okay, when I was starting this two things parallelly, I was really hesitant about this. I was really wondering, will I be able to manage both these things? What if there is an emergency from the client's side and I will not be available until evening after my college? Because as you know, like in mental health issues, people might get suicidal thoughts out of nowhere, or they might get into some sort of arguments with their family members, or fight with family members, or fight with people on anywhere, or they might be really having a very emotionally challenging phase, and they might need to consult a doctor as soon as possible. So all these elements might be there. So in such case, I was wondering, so what am I going to do if they want to consult me on an emergency basis? That was there. But over the period of time, I learned, okay, there could be alternatives in case of emergency. I can provide them with other alternative therapists who might be available, or how to deal in such cases, right? So once I started understanding this, my hesitation started reducing, and I started working in a flow. So at college, I really had to focus on all the students being there, because you are going to deal with many number of students. It's not just like 1 or 2 students. It's going to be hundreds of students who are looking forward to your classes, who are looking forward to learn something really valuable from you. Again, that's what the management is, my employer is also going to expect from, because they are employing me for a full-time basis. That's what they expect. And apart from that, I need to like carry out other duties which are like clerical in aspect. Say, for example, a college teacher might have to like mark attendance or make some entries, make some file works regarding students' progress, all those details. Yes, all those are there. So it was initially a challenging period because I had to learn the clerical works as well. Yes, teaching, yes, it was kind of natural to me, to be honest. Like when you sit in group studies and when you discuss things, some of my friends even appreciated like how far I was able to have an impact on their knowledge gaining aspects. But all these addressing of like 60 students at a class in the simultaneous manner and working with the clerical aspects, all these were initially challenging phase for me. But once I got settled in, with the help of my colleagues who are really, really very kind enough to extend their supportive arms to me, I was really blessed on that part, to be honest. And once I got settled along those lines, I was able to like juggle between these two things without any hiccups at all. Yes, still there are certain challenges wherein like I might have to stay late in my college sometimes, and my appointments might have to be postponed. Or when I give appointments, I have to consider the fact that I have to travel from my college to their house or the center wherein I visit clients. So these are the challenges that I did have. But on the positive note, it was really a blessing in disguise because at college I do discuss various disorders or psychological concepts. So when I discuss theoretical aspects, I can draw fresh examples from my practice.
True.
When I'm discussing about depression, I might have consulted a client with the depression just a few weeks back, 1 or 2 weeks back at the maximum. And it would be really very fascinating for the students to understand the theoretical concept along with the practical example, especially the current practical example that I am dealing with. And when I am taking therapy classes for children, I keep updating about the progress that various clients are making using different techniques again. So that still keeps them engaged in the classes that I am taking, because when you give a lot of live examples and they're able to draw the concepts from those examples, students tend to get that curiosity and as well as a lot of learning from that. And when it comes to the practice side, when it comes to the therapy that I am working along with, I draw a lot from the theoretical discussions I make along with students. Sometimes they ask different questions which you wouldn't have even imagined about. And that opens a lot of doors for me to explore with my clients. And as part of preparation for my classes, I do read across like various books, research articles, or any experts videos on the websites, on the internet. So like checking along these things helps me in both delivering a better lectures to my students as well as improve my expertise in the therapy area as well. So in a way, it is actually helping us because I can draw inspiration or draw facts from like both the areas and use in the alternate areas.
True. So how do you think technology is changing the field of psychology? Like as per your observation with the new technologies that are coming up, like, I've heard of certain apps that a person can download and they can just chat with an AI bot that is trying to calm or soothe the person, or something. The apps like these, you're just chatting to a bot and to relieve yourself of some anxiety or something. How do you think these apps are effective? Like how to what extent?
This technology, just like for any other field, has brought in a lot of boons into the field of mental health aspects as well. Yes, along with certain negatives as well, obviously, that cannot be like discounted as well. Yes, there are a few negatives as well that technology has brought in as well. And especially with the advancement in AI tools, especially after the revolutionary usage of like introduction of ChatGPTs, there are a lot of people who are trying to use AIs and try to have a discussion with AI about their mental health issues and trying to like understand or trying to get their doubts clarified using AI. Yes, in a way, it has given way for people to at least discuss it with some random AIs over there. So in a way or the other, people are indeed expressing out their emotions to something on online at least. That's a positive thing that I will say.
Mm-hmm.
Because people don't have the opportunity, most people don't have the opportunity to let their emotions or express their emotions, at least through writing. Most people even don't have that habit of writing out their emotions. We do have a technique, what we call as the journaling, wherein we encourage people to write down their daily events so that they feel their emotions being expressed out. So yes, on that part, yes, it indeed is a good thing. But how the AI is going to respond is something that we are really very concerned.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as me as a professional, I have also out of curiosity, have tried checking how the AIs are responding, especially ChatGPT or Google Bard, how are they responding. Yes, it's really appreciable that the developers have considered that these are sensitive information to be dealt in a very sensitive manner, and they have like designed in such a way that sometimes if you're asking too many questions, it might redirect to your helpline number or encourage you to discuss this with a mental professional. Yes, that is there. Apart from that, AIs can to some extent bring in some genuine help as well. Say, for example, some relaxation trainings or something like meditation or something that can intervene with the individual's negative thoughts. Yes, it's been that. And on the negative side, yes, there are a lot of challenges that they might not be able to provide an assistance that a mental health professional can provide. Yes, that is a major challenge that we have.
Mm-hmm.
But to be honest, we should be able to learn how to encourage these AIs or any technological aspects to be beneficial to the mankind. Because yes, initially when all the internet came in, people said that okay, internet is going to spoil on people, internet is going to make people waste their time. But if you can see, most of the people were able to break the barriers, lot of barriers in education or gaining knowledge only after the internet penetrated most of the area. And even during COVID, not to forget how technology helped us sustain the educational experience among children as well. Yes, there were drawbacks as well, but rather than focusing on the drawbacks, we just should aim to devise ways wherein we can overcome all these drawbacks. And there are few apps which helps in improving your mental health. Like say, for example, there are few apps which helps get better sleep for the night. There are apps which help us regularize or schedule our work on a daily basis. All these are very important when it comes to managing our mental health aspect.
Sure. Got it. One thing I'm curious is, do psychologists also reach out to other psychologists for help in case they're feeling overwhelmed or?
Yes, that's again a very important concept that we have, like a practice that we are trying to encourage. We do have the saying that therapists require therapists as well. Just like a cardiologist might require a heart surgery in case he's getting a heart attack. Just like a cardiologist might require someone to check his BP and all the other aspects. We do need our own therapists who can facilitate us in processing all the emotions. Yes, there is this general myth that you're a psychologist. If you have depression, just go check your notes. This is what people would feel like, right? So you know all the techniques, man. Why do you want some other one? It's not like this. Knowing is different from how you can apply things to yourself, right? So we do have this notion of therapist for therapist. But again, just like taboo among the layman about any common people, a lot of psychologists too tend to hesitate to reach out to other psychologists in case they have their own mental health issues. That's been there. But again, just like how common people are starting to seek mental health professionals in case of any issues, people from our own field have started reaching out to other people as well. And it's highly recommended that once a while we do have our own therapy sessions so that we can deal with all the negative emotions that we might be carrying or all the negative impacts that we might be carrying. Because we do tend to hear a lot of distressing stories.
Yes.
At some point of time, we do get disturbed by all those stories we see, like any betrayals or trust issues or negative experiences in life or challenges in life. Some people do tend to feel like it's like they can't take any more negative things into their mind. So in such cases, they would definitely require a therapist's help for themselves, and we do encourage such things. One challenge we have here is that most of the therapists that they have or in their contacts is that they will be like known to each other. They don't like have exclusive. They can't like have exclusive relationship with therapists. It's like they will be more like colleagues, or they will be from the same field. They will be more like an acquaintance. And in therapy, definitely it's important that you should be referring a client to someone else if you already know the client to you. Say for instance, if my friend is coming and asking for therapy to me, I cannot take him as a client. I cannot be his therapist. I can only refer him to someone else in that case. So similarly, we as therapists trying to build our networks sometimes end up losing our own options of seeking therapy from that person. So that's a major challenge that we have. And so we rather what we tend to like try to navigate, how we try to navigate is that we tend to take like peer supervision where like we have like people from our own field. We try to have some peer discussions and like we try to process our own emotions altogether, so that it's not like a therapy, but it's more like a help group or support group that we have among ourselves to process all the emotions that we are carrying across.
Sure, sure. And finally, okay, I have a last question.
Sure.
What advice would you give to someone who's struggling with their mental health issues? I mean, this is kind of directed to all the listeners out there who are kind of like on the fence about reaching out for help.
Okay, so again, like one another example that I would like to draw from the physical illness is that. So let's say that someone has fractured their arm, one of their arms. Let's say it's their right arm, they have fractured their right arm. So would you expect them to like move their right arm or just keep it at rest? Right, we would expect them to keep that right arm at rest so that they don't move. They will be in like an extreme amount of pain, and they might have difficulties in moving the arm around. Right. So similarly, when it comes to mental issues, it is like your brain is or your mind is being disturbed in that case. So it's going through a lot of pain. So in such cases, you will naturally not be able to process things in a proper way. Because just like how your arm is not supposed to be worked when it's broken, your mind will be shutting off when it's really disturbed. So it's very difficult to give any particular advice that will work for any individual. Because like it's easy for me to say, okay, in case you feel any distress, just reach out to your psychologist. Just follow these strategies, just follow these techniques. This will help you, or this philosophy might help you. Yes, it is easy for me to say. And again, when they are healthy, they can process this thing and they can observe this concept, they can understand this. Yes. But when they are under distress, when they are stressed out, this might not work out. Because at the end of the day, the brain is going to shut out, the mind is going to shut down. Yeah. But luckily, in most cases, people can overcome this drawback that we have. And in such cases, what they can do is like first try to find someone who will be non-judgmental towards them. So in case they have a bad day, they have a bad experience, or they have had a traumatic experience, or they were cheated, or they were betrayed by someone, or they had a sexual abuse, or they had a physical abuse. Just reach out to someone whom you can share things without giving a second thought. Yeah. Someone who can like be there for you without judging you, without blaming you for that incident. That is very important. So, and for that, you first have to build a good sort of friendship or that emotional connection. It may not be just a friend. It could be your sibling. It could be a parent. It could be a partner. But remember, these are only temporary.
Mm-hmm.
People can be there for you, but beyond that, they cannot handle it as well. Just like how a therapist needs a therapist. A therapist knows most of the issues related to mental aspects,
Mm-hmm.
but still they need a therapist as well. Similarly, someone who is not trained in this, they are not going to help you to a greater extent. They are not going to be able to manage this as well. Because if you overshare with them, then that might disturb them as well. You might make them as someone who is suffering from an issue as well.
True.
So, for the time being, yes, you reach out to your loved ones, you reach out to someone who is knowledgeable to you. But if you don't feel that you are getting better, don't hesitate. Just reach out to a mental health professional. It could be a psychiatrist, it could be a psychologist, it could be a clinical psychologist, or it could be even a social worker.
Mm-hmm.
And one important aspect is that people do reach out to any of these mental health professionals once they feel they are not able to handle it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But what happens is that sadly, not all mental health professionals are going to be master of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, some might be not very familiar with the techniques or the professional aspects. Yes, they might worsen things for you. But just like how the cardiologist, if they are not working out for you, just like how the general physician is not working for you,
Mm-hmm.
you would generally tend to go to some other doctor. You reach out to your friend and ask for any other referrals. You change your doctor, you go for second opinion.
Yeah.
Similarly, don't hesitate to go for a second opinion when it comes to the mental health issues. If you don't feel that you're comfortable with that particular mental health professional, don't hesitate. Just move on to the next doctor. Yes, it is very difficult in case of mental health professional because you have just shared your darkest experiences, worst experiences in life, and you might not feel comfortable to restart it over and reprocess all these things over. Yes, it is difficult, but it's our duty to help you or facilitate you navigating through this.
Got it. I just got curious with one thing.
Mm-hmm.
When people reach out, they will be in this vulnerable state and they just want to share everything and all of that. So, how do you manage, they getting attached to you? They want to reach out to you. They want to know more about you. They want to know your personal details. They want, the boundaries between therapist and the client blur. They want to be your friend. They want to, hang out with you after the session. It gets tricky for you, I believe. How does that go? I mean, did you ever experience it?
Yes, this is again a very common challenge that we face as a mental health person because they have developed a trust, they have developed that, okay, the sense that, okay, this person is not going to judge me. And these are very common traits that we would expect from our friends or even partners, right? So people do tend to explore the fact that, okay, why not I develop some friendship with this person? Why not I marry this person? These kind of thoughts are very common to be arising in clients. So how we deal with this is that we keep monitoring the client's attitude towards us. Like we try to see if they are trying to get close to us physically or even like in the personal aspect.
Mm-hmm.
So by rule of thumb, we never share our social media accounts or even if we try to like share our numbers, it will be mostly the official numbers that we have. But that's why during practice we would suggest every professional out there to have a personal number as well as a professional number so that you don't share your personal number to your clients at all. So this is the rule of thumb we have. And apart from that, in case they are trying to reach out to us in an informal way, we do explain them the fact that, okay, it's very natural for anyone to develop the sense of closeness and try to get close with us as therapists. But you have to understand it's not possible at all. So we try to explain things to the client as part of the sessions as well. Initially, during the sessions as well, we do give a warning to the client about these aspects as well because we tell them, see, during the session, it might be required for you to be vulnerable. You might have to share something that you don't have shared with your friends or partners as well. So in such cases, it is possible that you might develop some sort of personal feelings towards us, but we cannot afford that here. Because at the end of the day, this is more like a business transaction we are having.
Yeah.
You pay for the session and we are providing you the health service that is required for you. And yes, apart from this, there are certain disorders or certain issues wherein people will be hypersexual, to be very precise. So they get that sexual attraction to people around. Or some people might be coming up to us with a sexual frustration that they have been experiencing as well. So in that case, they might try to make physical advances towards the therapist as well. So in such cases, we should be alert as well. As a professional, it's our duty to be very alert and aware of these things as well. And we should at all costs, it's our professional ethics to not let this personal relationship being developed with the client. May it be sexual or may it be romantic or may it be like a brotherly or sisterly feelings. Nothing else. No professional should be allowing this to happen. Otherwise, it will definitely complicate things. And this might be a legal issue as well in such cases, if this develops as well.
Got it. Abbirooban, thanks a lot for, answering all of my questions patiently. You were so patient throughout, and now I understand that you are a therapist. Like, it's in your nature to be this calm and attentive and being very understanding of my questions. I know I said I just have one last question, but I ended up asking two more.
It's my pleasure, to be honest.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks a lot for your time. I wish you a very successful career ahead since you've just started.
Thank you, Mr. Chitra, and I really hope everyone has a better mental health going forward as well. Thank you.
Thank you.